What's up, WFT Nation? You're listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. You got me, Mo, your host for the day with Wole and Ray. Wole, what can they do?
Hey, man, you can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the urban sports scene. Also, tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. You know, man, folks have been kind of crazy on social media about minicamp, man. Felt real extra. Like, I'm glad we had Doc on there. Doc told us basically, like, it ain't real until you get to see folks in pads. So I don't kind of want to hear all this uber hypeness about minicamp. Like, I gotta see you compete. You know what I'm saying, Mo?
Man, go ahead and tell them what's on the pregame then.
All right, I got you, bro. Dang, you rushing me? All right, here's what we got. Here's the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll compare Washington's roster to the 1991-92 Super Bowl squad, which went 14-2. You know what I mean? That was a dope squad. Hey, Ray, did you get to see our interview with Doc? I know you was out last week, bro.
I watched some of it. It was over an hour. I couldn't lie, I didn't finish it. But you know, obviously I rock with you guys and I'm familiar with Doc. So it was great.
I know, my man.
Definitely.
My man. So all right. So like we're talking about the 1991-92 season. Washington won Super Bowl 26. People are, like I mentioned, people are so hyped over this roster.
It's the anniversary. This is 2021.
You ain't lying. Okay. Facts. That is facts.
Mo, was you alive at the time, bro?
Boy, I was kicking. You know.
Dang, don't try to. He ain't that young.
Yeah, I was
to the
kicking.
Squad. Dang. Well, I think I was in 6th grade or something like that, bro. Like 5th or 6th grade.
All right, well,
something like that.
Well, we're not quite that. We graduated 6th grade in like 93, so we were in like 5th,
something like that. Something like that, yeah.
Enough to know what was going on.
Exactly. Well, definitely. I remember that season. That was like my season. So all right.
And I was 3.04.
So we get into this comparison thing. What are some of the similarities for this current roster compared to, say, the Super Bowl winning roster?
Okay, so I'm starting out. I'm going to start out with the obvious, which Joe Gibbs was a Super Bowl winning coach. He was a coach that you trusted. Ron Rivera has not won a Super Bowl yet, but his track record of having some success as a head coach and reaching a Super Bowl is enough for me in comparison to what you've had in recent years. So that's where I'm going to start. You have two coaches who you can compare because you trust them. You believe in their expertise. You believe in what they're doing in terms of roster construction. We talked weeks ago about Joe Gibbs just being a good evaluator of talent. Wole, you talk about Ryan Clark. You felt like this franchise gave up on him too fast. Look at him now, just as an analyst, he's blowing up. Joe Gibbs said Ryan Clark had the talent to be elite in this league. A lot of people didn't listen, and he went on to become excellent for Pittsburgh. So that's just one example of many to start with. So if we're going to start comparing, we got to start there. What sucks is the owners, bro. Let's be real. We got Snyder as the owner. That's the biggest issue. I think the biggest gap is Snyder has not figured out how to take his hands off the football operations, allow his people that.
Well, he has of late, though. He has of late.
Now he is. So hopefully that would translate. But who was the owner at the time? Jack Kent Cooke.
Yes.
Jack Kent Cooke, of course, who has success across multiple professional sports, right?
Yeah.
And Dan Snyder, not so much.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to start. Mo, you can jump in there. We'll go to personnel in a minute. Mo's the personnel guy. He says a totally different game. I'm looking forward to the young guys' perspective.
Hey, man, like you guys said, I was only 4 when this all occurred. All right, so.
Dang. Whoa, bro. Jeez.
I'm going to say that the similarities between these two teams is that it ain't much of similarity, nothing similar about them. But I'm gonna wait for that segment. I don't want to sound like the bad guy here.
No, that's cool.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let your vets go.
So no, I think that you have good, like in terms of a foundation. You have good position coaches. You know what I mean? So you look at what Coach Gibbs had. You know, he had Richie Petitbow. He had himself. Joe Bugle, you know what I'm saying? So in terms of here, there's some similarities within that, surrounding your guys with people who can coach up some of these players. So you have that. You have a situation where you're building competition. That's what you're trying to do. If you look at Coach Gibbs' teams, he built competition. I was listening to a podcast. It was a football garbage time podcast. They had Gary Clark on their podcast, and Gary Clark was talking about how when Coach Gibbs built his team, he built his team to a point where the backups were just as good as the starters or even better. He made a reference of Ricky Sanders saying, "Yo, you had Art Monken and myself on the squad." I looked at Gary and I looked at Ricky when they drafted Ricky, and I thought, "Yo, this kid can take my spot. Like, this kid is just as good as me." You know what I mean? And he was like, so it built competition within that team to know that, all right, you know, the next man is just as good. So there would be no excuses. His thing, there would be no excuses. If somebody went down, you knew the next dude was going to definitely fill that role and do what it took to, you know, do what it took to win football games. So you look at this situation where this team's trying to build, and we talked about it even within the offensive line. I even questioned, why'd you get a tackle where you already have a starting tackle? You just drafted Sadiq Charles, where you drafted Sadiq Charles last year. Now you're drafting Cosme. So if you look at a comparison, you look at that situation, it makes you think, okay, that's similar to something that Coach Gibbs would do in his team. They would draft individuals, even within the same position, because they wanted to build competition within camp and bring in a situation of depth. So I just think that that's a similarity when we're looking at two of the rosters. It's something of an ideology, and these two coaches kind of believe in both of the same thing. So that, and then also, you know, receivers, not to say that they're going to be, you know, they're similar to the posse, because I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say that, but I will say that you do have a guy, Scary Terry, who's kind of comparable to a Gary Clark, a smaller guy, speedster, who can make big plays, not scared to be physical. So that's similar to what Gary. If you watch Gary, he's similar traits to Gary Clark, a very similar traits to Gary Clark, actually. If you look at De'Ami Brown, good route runner, a guy that can be the guy who can has some impact in a deep play. That's kind of similar to a Ricky Sanders, was an explosive wide receiver. You don't have a Art Monk, obviously, but in terms of just having three receivers that you can kind of rely on, you're hoping that somebody that's a Samuels can be that. So I see some similarities. There's many differences. We all can talk about the differences, but there are some similarities.
I'm a piggyback off your point on the offensive line. As you said it came to me. I like the way that they're forming the team on the offensive front and on the defensive front. I think that's an old school approach to making sure your team is built right, has a quality foundation. We already know what they do on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line with this group, and what Charles Mann and the group did before. I see that they had an All-Pro on that line too.
On the defensive line or
on the offensive line?
Jim Lachey. They don't have a Jim Lachey. They don't have a Jim Lachey. That's the difference, I would say.
I mean, but Sheriff is an All-Pro, and he has played at a high level. But I think the roundup of the rest of the Hogs is not.
It's not even close.
With this one. But it's not. But you can see how the team is building this year, right?
Yeah.
Arden Leno. They've drafted a tackle last year, Sadiq Charles. They drafted a tackle this year. They're all versatile. They can all play multiple positions. I think that's an aspect of both teams that it is similar. But you know what I want to get to? I want to get to how they different. So
how are they different?
How are they different?
Hold on. Real quick, before you go there, Charles Mann had 11.5 sacks that season that they won the Super Bowl. Chase Young, could he exceed that number? I think that you have some similarities in terms of the strength on defense.
I do. I think so. In defense, there's some similarities, but to defense, back on it, we're staying on similarities. But I would say that this roster's defensive line is more talented than that defensive line, the roster of that defensive line in 90.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like over watching this team over X amount of years, like this line that they have now is probably the most talented defensive line. I'm not gonna say in terms of front seven, but defensive line that I've seen from this football team over the years of watching this team. Linebacker play is different because I do think they're like the linebacker play in 91 was great. Like I thought that was Kurt Govea, Wilbur Marshall.
You taking Mo's thunder right now.
Yeah, Wilbur Marshall.
I was about to say Wilbur Marshall.
That's a little different. Wilbur Marshall. That's a little different.
Don't handle Wilbur Marshall. No, sir.
Yeah, a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. But I do think we don't know what Davis, the young boy, going to do in Jamin Davis. So we don't know. But he looks very, if we look at in terms of traits, very similar to what a Wilbur Marshall was when we when you watched him in 91, a fast linebacker. At that time, that era, he was a fast linebacker, playmaking type of linebacker. So again, there are similarities within the defense. I agree, right? There are some.
Mo, real quick, I'm gonna let you go. I promise. That 91 team, we wanted to see in prime time, but the fan base now does not want to see.
Facts. That 91 team
wanted.
That fan base wanted all the smoke with that 91 team. Don't get it.
I don't care who they played. John Elway, it don't matter.
Nobody. And I'm gonna say real. And even this, if you look at the roster, like I've always said this, like you look at the roster, you see a dude like Stan Humphries was a backup quarterback, went to San Diego, became a Super Bowl playing quarterback, not champion, but Super Bowl playing quarterback.
Joe Gibbs dude.
Exactly, Joe Gibbs dude. And you saw it in preseason because in preseason when he got to play, he played pretty well. There's a guy that probably didn't get the time of day, but in terms of every preseason game and when he did get an opportunity to play some regular season games, did show out in Stephen Hobbs. So this team, I dig what Gary Clark did say on the other podcast, that in terms of the factuality of what this team was about with Coach Gibbs. And again, what Coach Rivera is trying to do, I see similarities within the blueprint of trying to build the same thing. Now you may talk about your difference.
So, I mean, what I've been waiting to I've been chomping at the bit of, I want to talk about some of the differences between these teams, right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna let you veterans go.
No, you supposed to go first. You supposed to kick
bro.
off
So
for
you
us.
You let us have all the similarities. You might as well go on the differences, bro.
Excellent. I'll take it. No worries. Pass me the time. Here we go. All right. I see a little bit more continuity at quarterback with Mark Rippon. The season that he had that year is on par with probably Fitzpatrick's best years. And that's 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or 30 years ago. Ooh, 30 years ago. That's saying a lot, right?
You been extra. You see what he's doing. Go ahead, though. Go ahead, Josh, man. Go ahead, bro.
When I take it to the running back spot, we're going to Ernest Biner. Ernest Biner is a more quality running back than what we have in the backfield right now with Antonio Gibson. He still has to show and prove, even though he did come off a great, a good rookie campaign. A good rookie campaign. You know, those 11 touchdowns were a good, a bright spot.
Mm-hmm.
Where they don't compare at all is at the wide receiver. We're talking about a season where Art Monk wasn't even a Pro Bowler, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gary Clark, Art Monk, we're talking about Hall of Fame quality type receivers on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
No wonder Rippon put up those type of numbers 30 years ago in a league that wasn't a pass first league.
Yeah.
And, we're talking about 6 Pro Bowlers on offense, right? We're talking about 2 All-Pros on the offensive line with Rippon, Clark, Lachey,
mm-hmm.
Slater, and then you're talking about another 2 Pro Bowlers on the defense with Mann and a Hall of Famer in Darrell Green.
Mm-hmm.
And Darrell Green, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Wilbur Marshall didn't even make the Pro Bowl that year.
Right? Had a good year though.
He had a great year. Yeah. 5.5 sacks from his spot, 5 interceptions. You know what I mean? It was causing havoc everywhere. It's like a fumble recovery, and he was good at coverage and all that. That is one thing that this team doesn't have that we haven't proven yet. We know that James Davis is supposed to come in and get that. We can look at the I think the defensive line for that era, based on the amount of time that quarterbacks passed, was good. Solid. Was pretty solid. I mean, with Charles
capital punishment,
pack, right? Charles Mann led the pack with about 12 sacks, just about. Everybody else came in and handled their business, but I don't think I think the athleticism of this group today is what puts them over the top, right? You have 2 freaks on the outside. You have the Alabama Wall, and you got the best player.
Ioannidis is arguably the best player, and they didn't even play.
I'm about to say the best player is not even on the field, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where this team has an advantage. The rotation is a little deeper, and Tim Settle, we haven't talked about him. They can sustain that, right? They can sustain that. And I don't think that this team has a Darrell Green. I don't think this team has a corner that can take away one side of the field. Doesn't need much help. You know, him and William Jackson, they're both. I think a similarity between them is their speed, but that's where it is. You know, William Jackson is noted for his speed, but I don't think it compares to Darrell Green. We're talking about somebody that ran a 4.4, 4.5, and he was 40. So
that's a Hall of Famer, though. That's totally different. That's a Hall of Famer. Yeah, that's a cream of the crop. Yeah, William Jackson is not.
Last difference.
Go ahead, bro.
They won the Super Bowl. This team will not sniff a Super Bowl.
See, this is what
Well, we'll
we'll
get there later on, I
We'll
think,
get
in the
there.
season because we'll have a better idea what they'll look like.
Yeah, because we don't never because a lot of people probably would say the same thing about certain teams.
What are you basing that off of, Mo?
Your quarterback.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to quarterback. I am interested. That one is very interesting to me. So you mentioned Fitzpatrick. Mark Rippon was a journeyman. He was never really anything good. Like, don't be real. Like, so Fitzpatrick, that's what I'm saying. Like, Fitzpatrick is very comparable to even a Rippon. Like, don't get like this is the reason like Joe Gibbs has won with like 3 different quarterbacks, right? Fitzpatrick isn't. I mean, like Rippon, and I'm being real. Like Rippon, his year was 91. And and he's had solid years as a manager because to be real, was a manager because it's always been leaned on a running game. Mm-hmm. But 91 was his best year where Joe gave him the keys and it just worked. Everything just worked. He was, and truth be told, you can arguably say like the MVP of that offense with all what you mentioned with Gary Clark, Art Monk, could be Gary Clark's not in the Hall of Fame, but you can make an argument to a certain extent. And then you got Art Monk. Ricky Sanders, you got Ernest Biner, who was an 1,000-yard runner, but arguably you can make the argument that the offensive line was the MVP of that team. I believe Mark Rippon only got sacked or touched maybe 10 times that whole season. So if you look at so that's a little different. That's the difference of if you want to grade the quarterback play. But quarterback's not getting touched and getting all day in the pocket to throw the football. He can put up numbers. So I do think that Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't far from a Mark Rippon. He's not playing with Art Monk and Gary Clark, but we all have the same respect for like Scary Terry, right? We believe that Scary Terry is a dude. It's a Pro
Bowl caliber receiver.
You know what I'm saying? So you got Scary Terry. People love the draft pick. Again, we talk about potential.
That's the list, though.
Huh?
That's the list.
What list? That's it?
That's the list.
Okay, hold up.
De'Ami Brown, like a lot of people like De'Ami Brown. Like they De'Ami Brown. You like De'Ami Brown. Don't play it off. You like De'Ami Brown.
He's a beast.
Don't make it for your argument. You like De'Ami Brown. Don't even do that.
Do.
You like
go ahead.
So it's all still predicated on potential. We still have to see how it plays out. Like to Ray's point, we got to see how it plays out. But we're talking about the ability of certain players. I'm just telling you, like Fitzpatrick and Mark Rippon aren't far off. Believe me, it's a dude who watched Mark Rippon. They're not.
I'm just saying that. You tried to call me out on the De'Ami Brown thing. I'm not. My point is that you're talking about potential. I'm talking about what we've seen.
Yeah.
What we've seen, right? So in the comparison, I have to talk about what we've seen.
Yeah, of course.
I can't base
on potential. I totally agree. I
can't base this on potential today.
Totally agree.
We revisit this in the season. I have some things for you. Yeah. Like Doc said last episode.
Doc said I
need to see him in pads.
Yeah, facts.
Okay, so we know that this team made the playoffs last season. We know that they played the eventual Super Bowl champion, the toughest in the conference. That's enough to show that they have potential to go further in the playoffs. You get a different seed, maybe you have a different outcome. This is the facts that we have to go off of, correct? However, and I'm gonna go on the record real quick and just say, I believe they can make it as far as NFC Championship game this season. That's just my belief, okay? Mm-hmm. But the biggest difference for me is the play callers.
Yeah.
Now, see, my man, shout out to my man, Big Doug. I know he said the national guys are all in on Scott Turner. Yeah. I'm not just yet.
Me either.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that he can't become that guy. I want to say the record, but we're speaking about, like you said, Mo, we haven't seen it yet from him. All we have is to go off his last season, correct? That was his first season as the play caller. I need to see if he's going to improve as a play caller before I can say definitively that this Washington football team will go further. That's the biggest difference. I trusted what Joe Gibbs is running. Yeah. And like Doc has said in the past, I don't know if he said it with you guys, I listened to the whole thing, but he said you knew power trade was coming down your throat no matter what. Counter trade was coming down your throat. He did say it again. And you could not stop it. Even if you knew what was coming, you couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
This team, are they going to run the ball more effectively this season? Again, they averaged just over 4 yards a carry last year, but Wole, they could probably run the ball and stick with it more than what they did and control clock. Yeah. I know some people say that's not how today's game is played. I know Mo will get there, but that's my biggest difference.
Go ahead, Mo.
Also, my biggest concern. My bad, Mo.
No, go ahead, Mo.
Can we stop this notion that this team was close to beating the Super Bowl champions?
Compared to everybody else.
I didn't say they were close.
He said compared to everybody else.
In comparison to everyone else, they played them the toughest.
The toughest, yeah. That's
what's wrong with saying that? Can we stop this? They had 500 yards of total offense.
But in comparing, like what Ray is saying, compared to everybody else, go back to the argument. No, see, Mo, you're not doing it right, Mo. No, stop. No, let's do Ray's argument first before you do that. Ray said, in comparison to the NFC.
My goodness.
Who was even
the Chiefs? They played them better than the Chiefs.
So know what? Ray, let's stop it. Mo, who was their toughest? Who played in the toughest in last year's postseason?
The Packers. The Packers.
Ray, what scored that game? What scored the game? What scored that game?
Are we losing?
Like, no, real talk. Don't say the Packers. You watched the same game. Look, Mo, take the Giants thing away. Now this is real. Take the Giants thing away.
I don't have Giants. This is no Giants blood right now. This is no Giants blood.
So the only team, okay. So
the score was 31-26 in the Packers game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers had an opportunity to tie the game up. They kicked the field goal.
Yeah.
With all the turnovers.
Okay.
Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
In the second half, he did.
Second half.
Like 3 of them.
Yeah. Okay. So all right, Mo, I'll give you that. You know what, Mo? You have one team. Okay.
They had 300 yards.
Okay,
in
Mo.
that game.
How many
the
teams?
Packers had more yards.
How many teams? So how many teams played? How many teams did Tampa play in the postseason?
4.
All right. So excuse me. For you, because this is your argument. Other than the Packers, Washington.
Okay, so they played the second toughest.
The second toughest.
Even if we give you
look,
that.
Look, either way. Look, Ray. They play better than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Exactly.
So they're that bad. Like that's the argument.
And they had a chance too.
Yeah,
they had a chance, just like the Packers had a chance on a drive, right?
Of course.
Right
so
or wrong?
Mo, the argument to Ray is, to your point, is you're making it seem like they're not close. Ray's point is they're not that far off from the team that you said dominate and only lost by 8 points. You know what? They dominate and they only lost by 8.
One score.
And they played that bad, Mo. Mo, to your point, they played that bad and they only lost by 8. Think about that, because we say that about any good team. They played that bad and only lost by 8.
I just want y'all to stop feeding this narrative that the defense did a good job that night.
No, I didn't say that. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. My point is, that's not what I said. Listen to me again. Listen to me one more time.
They played
that bad and lost by 8 points.
Ray said they played them tough. That's what Ray said. If you want to take back to what Ray, okay, look, you know what? They played them tough and they lost by 8. Guys.
Look,
they punted the ball 3 times the whole game.
Right, but how much they lose by?
It didn't always translate to points, though.
Makes it sound like they got beat by 30. They get beat by 30.
I didn't say they lost.
But no. All the things that you're naming, teams get blown out by. Real talk. You threw for 500 yards. They only punted like how many times? 3 times. Usually, if you play Madden and you do all that, you're typically getting blown out. If you're
I found another team. The Saints played them tougher than you guys.
No, you're crazy.
No, you're crazy. No, you're crazy.
Yes.
You're crazy.
Let me stop you. They had 300 yards of total offense.
What was the score?
30-20.
Mo.
30-20. 30-20.
And Drew Brees gave the game away.
Mo played bad. They played. No, don't do that.
Mo, what was the score of the Washington Buccaneers game heading in the fourth quarter? 18-16.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
500 yards of offense. It was 18-16. They put up a goose egg in the third quarter.
What was the score of the Tampa game going into the fourth quarter versus the Saints?
You tell me.
20-14.
2014.
Okay, so they were winning by 6. They were winning by 6.
Yes.
And against Washington football team, they winning by 2.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
for it. I love this joint. I love this show.
I'm waiting. And hold on. Here's the difference. You talking about a New Orleans team that swept the Buccaneers in the regular season and came into that game favored.
Absolutely.
Wait for it.
Wait for what? What are we waiting for?
I'm waiting for how you gonna prove your argument as to whether they played the Buccaneers tougher than the Saints.
Okay, so the point is, all right, look, this is the thing.
Okay, arguably, Mo.
All right, you know what I'm saying? This is the thing. I'm gonna say this again. Like you're adding Ryan Fitzpatrick as your quarterback. A dude, if he played like he played last year with Miami, even the year before that, you don't think they're a better team than they were last year?
Ryan Fitzpatrick is a walking interception.
No, answer my question. This is not the question I'm asking you. Now answer my question.
Mm-hmm.
If he plays the way he played last year with Miami, even the year before that when he was decent, even decent that year, are they a better team? If the way they play, if he plays the same way he played last year. Last year he was
13 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's less. That's like one. That's like.
So you're saying but that was better. So you're saying that doesn't cut it, even though that's better than probably the quarterback play they had last year, that Washington had last year.
It's better than Washington.
So they should be a better team, though, right? If he plays like he played last year.
So you're expecting everything going to happen the
Bro,
same.
all we can go off of, this is the thing about football. All we can go off of what you've done over the year before or whatever. That's how, because if that was the case in any argument, right? If you're not, say, Drew Brees or some of these other, or not Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, whatever, I can make the same argument. I can make the argument with anybody, any other player.
I don't think this guy, with his 33 touchdowns and his 21 interceptions in the past 2 seasons, even that was his best football outside of the Jets year, which Mark Rippon had a better year than him 30 years ago with no passes. You know what I mean? Like,
better team though, but a better team though.
That's fine. That all fine and dandy. I don't think that guy is going to come make this team, because you guys are not going to win this division with 7-9 record again.
Yeah, I don't think so. Again, that's not the argument. See, again, we're comparing.
So the point, no. You're talking about how he can make this team better.
Yeah.
You're talking about this team last year was a playoff team that you guys keep harping on.
Yeah.
Won the worst division of all time, of all time. It's not happening again. Dak Prescott is back. 26 is back.
Okay, so all right. I know you want to talk about Dak. You're 26. All right, so even that. I'm not going to talk about that. There's already reports about that situation. I'm not going to get into all that. So, some people aren't even healthy yet, and that lets you know already that it's a struggle.
Okay, and Washington's defense is back.
Yeah, the Washington defense is back.
Let's keep it moving.
So no, we're not going to get into all that, but still, though, to the point of the differences and similarities of the situation. I will say this though, to Ray's point about the offensive coordinator, I think it's vastly different. I agree. To be real with you, you're looking at Joe Gibbs, who was a guy that, Joe Gibbs, Bugle, that whole team. Joe Gibbs is a guy who's innovative, it's an innovative dude for back then. He was an innovative guy, a guy that was ahead of his time in terms of calling plays and whatnot, and believed in balance. You know what I'm saying? Bleed and balance, and gave you an identity. That's the most important. It gave you an identity. You can't say that with Scott Turner. There's no identity. You can't say that he's going to provide an identity for this team because, you can't even name it offensively what it was last season. You know what I'm saying?
So
something that Joe Gibbs believed in.
So there's no identity.
That's differences. Yeah, I totally agree.
You have a turnover-prone quarterback.
Yes, that's okay. Fact.
And this team is supposed to be better.
Talent-wise, yes. They're supposed to be better. Okay. Talent-wise.
Okay, but I respect your argument, though.
I like your argument. I like your
argument. On the quarterback, right?
That's good. That's good.
I agree with that. That's totally fair.
Yeah. I'm not arguing that point. I think the points he just made were very good points.
Here's the difference, though. I've seen Scott Turner. I have not seen Ryan Fitzpatrick in this offense yet on this team. That's the difference. I saw a playoff game with this team last season. Whether you like it or not, they made it. You got to accept it. So,
but also, I do want to add this to both.
Saw it, but I have not seen Ryan Fitzpatrick get in this offense. I'm not gonna say I'm a Ryan Fitzpatrick fan or whatever. That wasn't my choice for who the team should put a quarterback, and neither was Taylor Heineke. None of the quarterbacks that they have in this roster makes me confident, to be real. I told people, everybody excited about this team. If I said this before, if I asked you 2 years ago, if these dudes are quarterbacks, you'd be like, heck no.
Yeah, if you were opposite,
listen, I'm right there with you. I'm just saying we got facts on the table.
If this team didn't win the division last year and came back with this roster this year, people wouldn't be excited.
No, because their quarterback situation was really jacked up in the beginning of last season. And I feel as though,
and I guess
they finally got Alex in the lineup. Then they started.
And this is the argument too. Even with the 7-9,
that team didn't make the playoffs.
Well, let's be real.
This hope that y'all are hanging on to, this
euphoria
that you guys have, would not be existing. Nobody trusts Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm talking about last year. This whole record talk about 7-9, whatever. The division was bad. Let's throw it out there. Everybody knows that.
It
was horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. But also don't ignore the fact that they probably would have been better than 7-9 if some of the quarterback wasn't hurt and they had to go to Dwayne Haskins. Like, let's add that caveat into, like, they had to replace Alex at that particular time with Dwayne, who was atrocious. So, like, that hurt. Let's not act like 7-9 is 7-9 would have been regardless. Like, we even talked about it on the show. We're like, yeah, they're gonna probably lose this game, and even you said it. Like, they're probably gonna lose this game because they don't have Alex.
Like, you said that. You're telling me that they had to replace Alex.
Yeah.
With
Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
With Haskins.
But Haskins,
But they knew they knew they had to do that prior to the season.
Yes.
Why they brought in Kyle Allen.
You mean
right?
Kyle? Yeah, sorry, Kyle Allen. Yeah.
So they brought in Kyle Allen, right?
Yeah.
So all Alex did was come back and save the team from Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, I'm not arguing. That's not. Yeah, I get that. I'm saying, but the 7-9, the reference of 7-9, this is the issue. The reference of 7-9 has asterisks to it. You get what I'm saying? Like, if your quarterback isn't like the way, and you saw it, we said it during the week. It doesn't even matter. Like, for certain games, so it's not even. I'm not saying something that's brand new. Like, Carolina game let you know already, and that game was highly winnable if you had an adequate quarterback. Highly winnable. All right, you lost that game. You lost. So those games that you lost with Dwayne, there was a couple of them. I can't think of them off my head. With Dwayne, we're not talking about 7-9. You know what I mean? So we're not even talking about it. Like, because that quarterback play within the quarterback you went to was and he was the last resort. He had to play. Like, he had to play. They didn't even really want him to play because even after the incident, they had to force to play him.
Well, so my point is, if that miracle doesn't occur, and he can sustain
if
I know we'd all be drunk, right? But the point is, Alex just came back and did what he was doing before.
Yeah,
so Haskins.
Mm-hmm.
So Haskins coming in, starting the season, and then getting his spot taken by Kyle Allen. Then Kyle Allen tragically going down and get hurt. And Alex coming back and regaining his form, some form, not all some form, and steadying the ship for the team because the defense led it. Would lead me to believe that if no Alex, which they didn't count on in the first place, this team is picking top 5 in the draft.
I'm not going to argue that. You know what I'm saying? But you got a better quarterback.
I know you got something else for us.
Well, no, my last comment is I'm going to roll with what Mo said, and I'm going to stick with my sentiment that the biggest question marks and the biggest differences between this roster and this, or between the Super Bowl team and this team is the OC.
Yeah.
We need to see it from him. We hear he's capable. And like you said, the quarterback is a question mark. I will not disagree with that.
I agree. I think I agree with that too.
It's a lot of questions when it comes to, can he be
somebody
who's disciplined? You know,
yeah.
Can he be disciplined in the pocket? I love the fact he takes risks, but
yeah, but
that gunslinger mentality may
goes
not
both ways.
Right.
It goes both ways.
Those are the two biggest question marks, and that's why this team right now cannot be really even compared. But this team does have aspirations to eventually, during this Ron Rivera tenure, to reach the Super Bowl.
They have a couple. Yeah, sorry, right. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, they have a couple
the last team was them.
Yeah, to agree with Mo. You know what I'm saying? Like, the quarterback play is still, it is what it is. Everybody knows who Fitzpatrick is. But in terms of what's around him to create an element not to put all the pressure on him, I think it's the big thing. Like, they don't lean on the running game. You mentioned Ernest Biner. That's somebody that, Coach Gibbs relied on, you know what I'm saying? And that's what three of the best wide receivers, probably the best wide receiving core at that particular point in time in the NFL. And you still run the football with Ernest Biner and Gerald Riggs and whatnot, and Ricky Irvins, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're still leaning on that running game. So the thing that's different is that this offense, even though, again, people will say it's a different time, but this offense won't lean on, like, it seemingly will not lean on the running game as much. And then you still have a proven commodity at running back, a guy who is a running back, Ernest Biner. He's a running back. You knew what he did in Cleveland. You knew what he did also with the team as well. But then you look at this situation with Antonio Gibson. You don't even know he's gonna be healthy. Dude's still nursing a turf toe. You know what I'm saying? He's still having turf toe issues. So it's like this, and Ray mentioned about the OC. Will this OC, if whoever the running back is, if it's Antonio Gibson or whoever, will he lean on the running game if it's effective? You know what I'm saying? So it's different. It's just it's different in terms of ideology within the two teams, and also to me, when it comes to playing tough football, like the running game, I think it's totally different.
That team knew where their bread was buttered.
Exactly.
This team doesn't know where they're getting their next meal. Between the OC, the quarterback, the running back's previous injury that's going to probably spill into this, like he's one cut away from another one because
turf toes is no joke.
Because of the way they handled it, right? Because of the way they handled it. So like we have all this up in the air.
But you do have multiple guys that can catch out the backfield, which should help your quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. But again, which again, I think again, depending on your identity. If your identity is all about identity. If your identity is to throw the football, that's what it is going to be.
Yeah,
but if Gibson was to get hurt and he could not muster up the yardage or the just the presence that he had last year in the run game, the team becomes that much more one-dimensional in the hands of a quarterback that's interception prone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think
he doesn't like to check down.
No, he don't check. No, not his thing. No, he likes to take chances.
Not in his history check down.
Yeah, he does chances. I mean, but it just depends on how you want to. It goes back to identity. If Coach Rivera believes in like, my defense is my lead dog, right? It's my defense and my lead dog. Then you're going to have to lean on balance. Like that's the thing. Like because you don't want to. Like to Mo's point, you want to turn the football over and put the defense in a compromising position. Like you don't want to do that. So will Scott Turner lean more on the run game? And especially again, and we've seen football players over the years that we've loved, like Deion Sanders having to deal with turf toe. There's like I want to think like Barry Sanders had to deal with turf toe at times. Like there's a difference if you watch them play football. There is a difference where when these individuals are playing with turf toe, like they're not the same dude. Like they still, you can see the pain when they're dealing with it. Like they talk about it all the time. So to me, and you got a guy who's just learning how to play running back. You know, granted he, as a rookie, he played solid, played good, but you come back with a turf toe, and they want speed on the football field, so you're not gonna get him at his best. So again, it all like to me, it's all dependent on to what Scott Turner's going to do for this team. And we're talking about comparisons to a 91 team, a team that had success and won championships. It's a different brand of football. Don't get it twisted. We're in a different era of football, but there are things that you can do in terms of building a championship culture. And I've always believed that identity is the key thing. This team doesn't have a Jim Lachey in terms of offensive line. They don't have an all-pro tackle. That's what I mean, like a stud tackle they've had over the years. And that would, to me, would be a big difference between the two offensively. But I do think that if Scott Turner shows some innovation and also some balance, I think this team could be something that we can say, all right, there are similarities within the offense. Defensively, we got to see it. You got to rock pads, man. Like I'm a believer. You got to rock pads, and we see what happens with pads. But offensively, there's some work still needs to be done because there's a lot of improving things. You know what I'm saying? So
got some comments, right? On social media?
I don't see any. I'm trying to look if we do. I don't think we have any. Let me check. We have any social.
See what I'm talking about? Even the fans are like, man, this is not a topic.
No, everybody, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like they probably gonna, after we repost this, they're probably gonna be like, man, what's this Giants dude talking about, man? Like this dude.
Mo, listen, right now we're talking about this because of what he just said. I've seen the video. Taylor Heineke looked great today.
Did you see the video? Everybody talk LeBron.
But I'm just saying, but this is every season. I'm not drinking. I've been stopped drinking that Kool-Aid.
You know what I'm saying?
Like 2 decades ago, that we're not gonna get hyped.
We're not doing stuff, bro.
That's like, see, you don't remember Steve Buckhands, do you, Mo? Carlisle, Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like nobody put no stock into them daggone
back in the day, they didn't. That's what Doc was telling us, Mo.
Exactly.
Like for real, that's what he was telling us. He was like,
so that's why we comparing the last champion we had on an anniversary year
Yeah, of this roster.
To what this roster's looking like going into a season
not
build.
not the what they gonna do on the freaking football field for real. We don't know what they're gonna do. We haven't seen what they're gonna do together. But we can break down individuals, you know what I'm saying, and seeing their similarities within that or sets of groups within the roster. You know what I'm saying? That's what I can say.
What's unfortunate is not too many people remember that team.
They don't. That's the thing. They don't.
It's a lot of younger folks that's out here that are following the game on social media, and they don't remember. Our old heads not on social media, so they can't speak to what we're talking about.
Because I'm trying to tell them, like, with that Mark Ribbon,
so they got to create the winning culture.
I be telling them, like, they see that year of Mark Ribbon. You got to watch that. You talk about interception quarterback? You thought Mark Ribbon was it, bro. Like, that dude threw picks. If Joe let him rock, that dude threw picks for days. Jay Schrader used to throw picks. Like, Joe had quarterbacks would throw picks for days. The year that Mark didn't throw that many picks, and which that many picks for that era of football was because they leaned on the running game. Real talk, because they leaned on the running game more. The games that Mark threw a lot of picks were the games where, you know, some say they played the Giants. I'll use an example. I'll use your team. They played the Giants. And LT Banks and them was shutting the running game down. Or they played the Eagles, or Reggie White and them was like shutting everything down. Then those are the games that Mark started throwing the football, and he was throwing picks for the Eagles, Eric Allen and company like that. So I'm just letting you know, like, Mark threw some picks, bro. Mark would set you up.
I mean, for that era, yes. I get it for that era because of the amount of times you had to throw the football.
It's a different conference.
Different division. That time was a lot.
Yeah, different division too. It's different division.
The coaches in the division
was true.
The players in the division, the stars in the division. You mentioned LT, Reggie White, Buddy Ryan, Bill Parcells, Jimmy Johnson,
even Arizona
Charles Haley. It was crazy back then.
Phoenix, you know, so
which gives me hope that you can still win this division without having the greatest record. You know what I mean? Because every team has their needs. The Giants have quarterback issues. Dak, let's see how long he's going to stay healthy.
Ray, don't do that.
What?
Before the catastrophic injury.
Oh, no. He's durable. He's durable. But we're talking, you said it, catastrophic injury. Like KD. We knew who KD was right before his injury, but you said, let's see what he looks like when he comes back. That's all I'm saying.
Who said that?
I did.
Who said that?
I always do that. You always do that, bro. You always gotta look
out.
Always
do whatever you want.
Always got to, bro.
Yeah, the man over here 35 points on 15 shots.
Hey man, there's some dudes who come back.
And he showed it. Exactly. But he missed a lot of time during the season too, didn't he, Mo? Did he miss a lot of time, Mo? Did he miss a lot of time this season?
Is it
okay?
Yeah. Is it not?
Okay, let me give you the prime example. Let's go to another individual. The Boogie Cousins was dropping 26 easy. Then all of a sudden, injury.
That's different.
He had an Achilles. Why? Why? Because he's
Boogie. First and foremost, Boogie's a big man. He's heavier.
And Boogie, I get.
Secondly, Boogie had an Achilles. Yeah. Boogie's had a quad. Boogie had the other knee. Yeah. Like Boogie had.
KD's had injuries too.
After the Achilles. That's what I'm saying. So let's see how he looks
after the
for a full season. After a catastrophic injury,
that's all. Yeah,
because he's injury. I never say he was injury prone, Mo. Never.
You know what I'm saying? People look different. Look. And this is the thing. Even running backs. Let's go to running backs, right? Other than Adrian Peterson, and you can do the math. Like other than Adrian Peterson, running backs coming back for that second year, they don't look the same.
Okay, I will say this though. Michael Vick came back and he didn't miss a beat.
That's different. Yeah, I'm saying running backs.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
So I'm just saying, like, wait and see. I'm just saying they're even Tom Brady, the year he came back from that knee injury, he didn't look like the same Tom after that knee. The year after that though, he was Tom.
Todd Gurley ain't been the same.
Yeah, so
some people ain't the same.
Some people don't come back. So it's not. When you say it don't. That's why I like Saquon. You know I like Saquon. But I keep it a buck. I tell folks, that year, typically, that first year off your ACL, it takes you a long time to get right. That full year after, you're about the same.
You tore your ACL?
Yep.
So you can speak to the rehab process, you know?
Yeah.
And I know. Wole, you did too, but I know with Dak, we're not talking about that, you know. So it's gonna be interesting.
He broke his knee. He broke his ankle.
Right, exactly. So it's a different type of injury. But I'm just saying in terms of his mobility and all, but he's got a receiving core. They got to keep him on his feet. We'll see what happens. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it don't take much in one hit.
Dak broke his ankle. You can come back from your ankle in 4 months. Dak was ready in February.
Look, man, he's back now. He's participating in practice.
He's ready in February. See what happens. Because of the money, because of the position, they use that, oh, we're going to hold him out stuff. Dak been ready since March, April, February. Man,
hopefully
Dak is going to be Dak, man. Dak wasn't much of a runner anyway. He could run. He could run, but
every team got.
They were still losing with Dak too.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It don't even matter.
Anyway, it's all good.
It don't even it's to be real. And this is giving most Giants credit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody says
leave the Giants out of it.
No, I have to leave the Giants. I got to put the Giants in because they're the NFC East. The Giants and the Washington football team are probably at this particular point in time the two favorites in the East. That's all I'm saying. So
that's hilarious.
I know, right? It's the truth, though.
They have the two best defenses in the
That's why. The Giants, they have more.
No matter what question marks you have,
those so defense typically when the Cowboys, they ain't stopping nobody.
Right.
They can score like crazy. Their offense is lit. I think their offense.
What the Washington football team has on the defensive line, the Giants now have in the secondary.
Yeah, so it's getting better in the secondary. So I think we do have a matter of fact. I'm looking at. I think we got some. We got a 91. Yeah, we do got one. All right, we got one. My man George hit us on Facebook comment about the comparison between the 91 championship squad to the current roster. He said, "No, you seriously did not do this." That's what George said. My man George keeps it 100. George, thank you.
Let me take a page out of you guys' book.
Yeah.
Listen here again. This is the time of the year we don't have a lot in terms of content. I'm just being honest with the listeners and with the people that's
keep it buck, man. Do you want us to talk about camp? You want to talk about mini camp?
Everybody's talking about camp. Everybody that's amazing at camp, Mo. Everybody, I promise you, they do, man.
Yeah, bro. You want me to
talk my gosh, yo. And Mo, hopefully you get the chance to go this season. You'll see the hoopla that goes into it. Maybe COVID will decrease it, but
yeah, man, it's gonna be crazy, bro. You're gonna see it, man. Look, man, you're gonna see it. It's gonna be
Wole, what's the big Sellers? Mike Sellers. Now, Mike Sellers in person was huge, right?
Huge.
But he could miss a block, you know what I'm saying, for days. But in camp, the fans like, oh man, Mike Sellers, he looks good, man.
Oh, that year? Yeah, that year.
Yeah, Jason Campbell that season. Oh my gosh, Malcolm Kelly. I watched them all.
I wasn't there though. I wasn't there.
No, you weren't. I was there by myself.
Yeah,
but we were in camp. What was that? 2 years ago.
I know we did with DJ Swearinger.
Josh Norman,
yeah.
Fat Rob, Skinny Rob, whatever they called him at the time.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. Folks was excited. Jordan Reed looked good in camp.
No, Jordan Reed looked good though. He looked good. But again, I don't like doing that though. I don't like doing it.
Mason Foster looked halfway decent in camp. So, dude, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, camp is different, bro.
So that's why we're not talking about camp.
So Mo next week. So Mo next week you come up with the topic, dog. We're
gonna talk about camp.
You know what I'm saying? No, we ain't talking about no camp. We ain't doing that. No, Mo gonna come up with a topic next week. That's what's going to happen.
We're gonna have to get a guest. That's it. You know. But anyway, that's for later.
That's for later though. We've already you know what I'm saying? We've already discussed that. You know what I'm saying? So we're done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search all Burgundy and Gold Errrything. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Hey, I'm glad that people can actually listen to me this time because on the last podcast, other podcasts, folks couldn't hear me at all. You know what I'm saying? So I have a voice in this podcast. So I appreciate this forum where I can actually speak. Right, Ray? Right. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold Errrything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia for ages. You dig? Deuces. Hey, Mega. Liz out, big homie.
Peace.